right, so game 3 here of week 3, day 1 of the LRA, and we have a hell of a game. We actually have Messiah versus Orb Meister here, so we've seen Orb Meister perform decently well at Duels of Runeterra in the past as well, but, you know, this last game, it feels so bad to make the misplay that looks to have been made. And I think it was just 100% a misplay. Unfortunately, I think that the person who made the misplay, I don't want to give away who won the game, right? But the person who made the misplay, I think, could have seen that it was game if they had ordered the way they played their cards a little bit differently. So we'll see that here during the last game. So make sure you stick through the entire video and watch game 3 because it is pretty lit and pretty cool to see it play out. It's actually it's a Riptide deck versus Zombie Ash, which Zombie Ash obviously having a huge resurgence as of late. So, but as always, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works. Stick around for game 3 because this is a pretty sweet match. But Messiah is playing Trundle, Tryndamere, War Mothers, so there's that. Then we also have another barrier deck. There's that. And, okay, well, a little bit different, but we did see this a little bit in the Invitational. Ezreal TF.
Yeah, and actually going back to, we talked a lot in that Invitational about how Swim was only playing the 3 Ezreal and the 2 Thermo Beam, you know, to make sure that he hits those Yordle Grifters. Messiah has gone for the full 3 Yordle Grifters, no Pilfered Goods, but is still running 10 Piltover and Zon cards. I assume this is going to bite him in the ass, and I am here to laugh at him when it happens.
Statistics, man. Statistics. Probabilities, and you are on the wrong side of that probability, unfortunately. So, yeah, very curious to see. And
I mean, technically, you're still on the right side,
well,
but you do have a very good chance at hitting.
What I mean is the wrong side if you're considering that you shouldn't really be playing more than 6 tops, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But... And we've seen, actually, so during the Invitation, we've seen a lot of people miss the Yordle Grifter, which did come in big because you don't get that warning shot. It especially feels bad if you are trying to get off a Riptide and you miss your Yordle Grifter. Well, that feels really bad, especially when you're only playing 2 warning shot in this deck and not 3. So we'll see if that comes into play here a little bit later.
And OrbMeister actually on the first Pirate aggro of the day that we've seen.
Yeah.
Saw a couple of Noxus Snaps, saw a little bit of Swain Twisted Fate, but now we get to see how this deck handles with the nerf on Jack the Winner. I did think that this was going to be the deck that was hurt most by that, just because it does, you know, this is the deck that needed Jack's health where it was. To be able to use the Sleep with the Fishies on that one unit that's going to survive and then still be able to dodge most of the removal in the game. You would still die to Flock, but, you know, maybe you were even counting on Noxus Bilgewater being a little bit less of a represented archetype, a little less Ravenous Flocks coming out, but... You know, I am curious to see how this deck works out, and so far, not a great start.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that impactful because I don't think we see a whole lot of 3 damage removal in the meta as it currently stands. I mean, like you said, there is Ravenous Flock and stuff like that, but I think what matters is I think that he can't really trade with 5 attack units anymore. Radiant Guardian doesn't really matter. So Radiant Guardian being nerfed actually helps that a little bit, but there's plenty of other 5/5s, Gangplank, stuff like that. He now actually can't survive, which didn't really make sense to me why he had 6 health in the first place for that reason, but hey, it is what it is. He still, I think, is a behemoth in this deck, though, because that Sleep with the Fishes spell generation is absolutely amazing in this deck, and it just pushes through so much damage. And Misfortune does, too. Like, Misfortune always pushes through a lot of damage, especially now with Messiah. I mean, this is a really good start for OrbMeister. Messiah only has this token. It's just going to get run over by the Misfortune effect. And we're going to start pushing through this 2/2 elusive, which might be pretty hard for Messiah to deal with in upcoming turns.
And Messiah not able to ramp on turn 3. If he does have Catalyst of Aeons, you know, we did see the Vile Feast come out on 2, so that meant that you couldn't use it there. But, I mean, skipping turn 5 really doesn't mean much. You want to be skipping this turn 4, so, you know, kind of having to play defensively on turn 2. Oh, actually, it's Grasp of the Undying for this, so still no ramp going to come out. If there's no 5-drop coming out here, things are looking really rough for Messiah, as it would mean that their hand is very expensive, and they have no way of accelerating it against an aggro deck, which honestly isn't putting out a lot of pressure right now, or a lot of units. OrbMeister kind of has to slow roll this one. The double Decimate and the double Make It Rain will come up a little bit later, but for now, just playing against him, it feels like you want to go really wide here. Even though there are avalanches still coming out of Messiah's deck, if you could get a buff up onto that Butcher, you'd feel really good about it.
Yeah, and on the side of Messiah, so we do see the 5-mana Trundle come out with no previous, mana generation. That's kind of one of the drawbacks of playing this War Mother's deck, right? It's very one side of the spectrum or the other. It's very polarized. It's, either you're drawing crap, and by crap I mean all of your 5+ mana cards, or you draw what you need in Wording Stones or Catalyst, or in this case only one copy of Avalanche, Vile Feast, stuff like that. You need those tools to get you to the late game, and this deck could very easily draw one way or the other. It's not even like you're more likely to draw the lower cost cards, because there actually are more higher cost cards in this deck. And it looks like that's what's happening with Messiah. But like you said, Orb is going to have a tough time regardless right now, just pushing through anything. Trundle is a beast of just blocking things turn after turn after turn.
It looks like we're going to start off with the Make It Rain. I would imagine this is just to sort of play as mana efficiently as possible while still getting down. We'll get down both the Jagged Butcher and the Zap Sprayfin, and we'll at least get a solid open attack with the 2 Zaps before any kind of Avalanche could come out. But Trundle feels like a death sentence for OrbMeister. There is nothing in his deck that's going to be able to kill this outright other than a leveled Gangplank, and I think it's pretty likely that the Pillar does come down and level the Trundle before that can happen. And that does mean, we don't have access to OrbMeister's deck list. As we had said, he was a substitute, so he didn't have deck lists registered that we could see. And that's really unfortunate because, Make It Rain and Jack the Winner is sort of his other option for killing this unit, but I think it's very likely that this Trundle just lives for the rest of the game.
Yeah, this deck does not really have a reliable way to go ahead and deal with something like a Trundle, which is why, these Zap Sprayfins might come in handy, but the second we see something like an Avalanche come down, I think this game, like if an Avalanche comes down, which Messiah is only playing 1, so the odds are on Orb's side as far as that's concerned. I think it's game over. But if no Avalanche comes down, Orb is definitely still in this, being able to push through this 4 damage every turn. But there is still things like Grasp, which is a 2 of in the deck, like Vengeance if we really needed to. So I don't imagine Messiah is going to continue to choose to take this damage for much longer.
I actually would have liked to see Orb play out all his units and go for a big swing this turn, I think. As you had mentioned, there's only 1 Avalanche. I think that if your opponent plays it, you just have to accept the loss, but I don't think pushing 4 damage every other turn with Zap Sprayfins is going to get it done, specifically because that means that you're putting him down to 11 on turn 8. That's not a very low life total, and then he gets to play the Pillar into Tryndamere, and he probably just kills you on turn 9 if he's got an Atrocity, potentially even without it, depending on how big that Trundle is going to get off of the Behold effect. The Decimates do play into this a little bit. I think Orb could have it, but skipping turn 7, Messiah finally picks up that ramp spell, and that does mean that Tryndamere is now online for the next turn. We could just see Orb die before he gets another attack in.
Yeah, wow. So this Decimate gonna do the 4 damage, but it's still gonna be a long path for Orb to actually get Messiah down to 0 here, and you gotta figure with 2 Grasp and 3 Withering Wail, this damage isn't sticking. We've talked about this before. When you're playing a deck like this, you're really needing to do like 30 damage to win the game. And that's a lot to ask of a burn deck, because a lot of times it will run out of fuel before it's able to go ahead and really, get the Nexus down to 0. And oh man, and the Pillar coming out now. Trundle is leveled up. Honestly, Messiah might be able to just end this game off of just attacking with Trundle or, Tryndamere if he's able to get that down next, just with all this overwhelm damage.
And something that OrbMeister has to be even more afraid of, let's say Messiah top decked a ramp spell and just played this at this turn. There is a 1 of She Who Wanders in the deck, and that would obliterate every single unit in OrbMeister's field and hand, or every single follower rather. The Misfortune would live, but that's basically nothing, especially when you consider the fact that the 1 damage that she would push on her attack before she dies to a Trundle is just sort of a consolation bonus prize to replace the 1 damage missed by the obliteration onto the Legion Grenadier.
Yeah, it's not looking too great for Orb. At this point in the game with Messiah, being at turn 8, it's just looking like Messiah's going to be able to take this away. Generally speaking, when you're playing an aggro deck like this Pirate Aggro, you want your opponent in maybe the 6 to 8, life range at this point in the game, if not lower, obviously. And knowing that there's still probably heal. And there's the Tryndamere I was talking about too. So regardless of the heal, there's just too much overwhelm damage.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, you look at Orb Meister's hand, you count up the damage that's available to him. It is not 14. It's pretty far away from 14. I don't think there's anything that Orb is going to be able to do. I mean, if Messiah doesn't have the atrocity to actually end the game next turn, then maybe Orb can actually sneak it out if he can draw something like another Desk, because he does have a pretty big attack turn here.
Okay, so Orb actually replaced Nagashi, and it looks like he's playing the same decks.
That was the problem. I figured that would be the case, but I didn't know who he was replacing.
You know what makes me happy?
What?
He's playing Lee Sin Zed.
Oh, boy. Another deck for us to not
Hey,
see.
hey, with the negativity, all right? Come on.
So he does still have Jack the Winner in here. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, there is still Jack.
Actually, has Iron Ballistas as well to replace a couple of the petty officers.
Wow, yeah, we have not seen that since the days of good old Darrowing Harrius. So good to see Iron Ballista back and doing well. I don't know. I mean, I guess you're taking out a petty officer to put one in. Maybe I'm trying to see what else might. Maybe
Looks
a Jack
like
the Winner.
Demo came out.
No, wait, Demolitionist? Oh, yeah, possibly a Demolitionist or Jack the Winner. I mean, I don't think there was always 3 copies of Jack in the Pirate Aggro deck, but 2 Farron in here as well.
Yeah, so now we do get to see, this is Orb Meister's last turn, for sure. Iron Ballista really doesn't help. You probably can push through at least 1 attack. So this is going to be 5 damage on the attack. Puts your opponent down to 8. You have exact lethal.
Well, looks like I thought he replaced Nagashi. Might be Void, so we'll see in a second. Which, I swear to God, if I pull up these deck lists and there's no Lee Sin again, I'm going to be a mad, mad guy. Not going to lie. Hold on. Let me go ahead and check something quick.
Don't worry, I'll handle the game from here on out. I mean, there's really not much to handle. Messiah has so much that could win him the game. Any single point of healing gets it done. Atrocity gets it done. And he's got a spell on the stack, and it will just be the Atrocity. Oh, you can go ahead and make it range Tryndamere. But what's that? 1 Tryndamere is the same as backside Tryndamere, and the Atrocity still goes through. That's right, folks. Atrocity Tryndamere is broken. And that does mean we'll get to see the Tryndamere level up animation. Tryndamere definitely feels like he has an underwhelming level up animation as well for how... I feel
amazing,
like cool and impactful it's supposed to be.
Agree.
Yeah, like you just get the Battle Rage face and then like some Broken Earth and all of a sudden like you just flipped the Tryndamere. I want to see like I always definitely 1000% prefer the champion level up animations that involve the champion in some way. Like Ash's arrow, dumb, hate it. Sejuani petting the pig, love it. Tryndamere, bad. Gangplank, okay. I kind of like it because it reminds me of the Village Butter symbol. Misfortune, great. Teemo, doo-doo.
Man, you're hating on Teemo today, huh?
As Riot left him to the side for me to kick while he's down. But I mean, like even TF and Ezreal, like just getting their hand in there and doing their little thing, those I like. But yeah, definitely not a fan of like Ashe and Tryndamere. And I feel like most of the failure champions, even the novelty of Trundle's level up, fell off very quickly for me.
All right, looks like it is Nagashi's decks. And wait, what was just selected? Was it Pirate Aggro again? I wasn't paying attention.
It was.
We tried. All right. So Pirate Aggro versus...
We didn't try anything.
Pirate Aggro versus TF Ezreal. So we will get to see TF Ezreal, which we haven't really seen a lot of today at all. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, against an aggro deck like this Pirate Aggro, I feel like Ezreal TF has a very good matchup here. It's got a lot of removal. You have the thermo beams, make it rain, static shocks, and then on top of that, tons of units to hit the field early. Jagged Butchers, Dreadway Deckhands. I really think this might go well for Messiah.
I don't know. The concern that I always had for Ezreal decks was, especially this TF Ezreals, sure, you can fight for the board, and that gives you a little bit of a better chance against things like Nab and Bannerman and these very honest aggro decks. But Pirate Burn plays like a burn deck. You do have the Decimates, you do have the Noxian Fervors, and that isn't something that the Ezreal deck's going to be able to handle super well. They don't have any kind of life gain. Every point of damage that you sneak through really sticks in a deck like this, and I don't know how long Messiah is actually going to be able to keep up the fight for the board.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to mention. I mean, that's in this deck, TF Ezreal, there's really no heal. Damage is damage. It's sticking onto that Nexus. And especially here, like with Messiah, if we don't see a 2-drop, and yeah, there's no 2-drop, that is bad. All right, wait, Mystic Shot. Okay, so this definitely is better for Messiah, not taking that 3 damage from the Grenadier, which eventually would have been 4 with the effect as well. So still in a good spot here. But yeah, I mean, any damage that's dealt will stick. So it'll be interesting to see how often Messiah just basically avoids taking any combat damage, because that's what he will need to do the entire game if he's going to win this one.
And it looks like he's got these double Jagged Butchers, and it's really enticing to try to get these up to 3 health because there are Mystic Shots in Messiah's list, as well as this is not a deck that handles the actual Ezreal itself very well. This is definitely one of those matchups where you can get him down, constantly generate multiple Mystic Shots. I think we just have to go for the Grenadier here. Could change depending on what pops out of the Petty Officer, and it being a keg. This is what we were talking about. This super impactful change where this Make It Rain going to blow this game wide open, decimate Messiah's board, as well as get down a buffed up Butcher, which will then be able to buff up the next Butcher, and things looking pretty good for OrbMeister here. Yeah. Both players even on cards, but Orb's kind of got what he wants and a perfect turn 4 top deck in this Zap Sprayfin.
Wow, yeah, and well, okay, going with the Grenadier instead. I mean, the Grenadier does push more damage if there's nothing, but all right, we do see the deckhand come out. I imagine we still just take the attack with both of them. Not gonna pull the keg. Yeah, I mean, that Petty Officer finally seeing an impact of that nerf. I guess I want to say good to see that it actually did something. So, but I mean, that's the situation everybody knew, right? That it was going to be pretty impactful for that. But it looks like we might see a Make It Rain come out from Messiah, maybe, but that's not going to take care of the Grenadier. Maybe it's just another Mystic Shot that we're going to see here.
I would think Make It Rain's coming out here, but either way, OrbMeister's still going to be able to get down this Jagged Butcher thanks to that Grenadier ability.
We'll see. What is it? And honestly, yeah, even if it is, okay, so it is Make It Rain. Oh, that's terrible, because yeah, sure, you get rid of the Jagged Butcher, but now you're taking an additional. Oh no, sorry, I forgot about the keg. Okay, he's not taking the. Okay, Jesus, I just imagine that the keg wasn't there apparently, but yeah, no, Jagged Butcher will still get the buff up 3/3, and this is good for OrbMeister with the cards the way that they are. I mean, we're going into turn 5, Gangplank here on turn 5. You want to talk about a curve? Whew, that's gonna feel real good for Orb.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for the Zap Sprayfin, though, just so this keg doesn't get challenged out. It's also so that he has that immediate spell available to take advantage of the keg on the following turn. Yeah, there is that Ezreal we had mentioned. It looks like Zap's actually going to come down, a good blocker for the Ezreal. Ooh. That is sort of the one thing that Orb has going for him in a matchup like this. And even if Messiah uses a Mystic Shot to clear out the Zap Sprayfin, the Ezreal's Mystic Shot will not be castable, then won't have the mana for that. Things looking real good for OrbMeister so far. But as we get further and further into the game, I mean, Messiah does have more Riptide Rexes.
Yeah, yep, that's kind of we are constantly watching games where we're basically counting down the turns until turn 8, right? So yeah. That is going to be the same with this game. I mean, if Messiah, the thing with Messiah is even though Orb seems like he's in the better spot, he's not getting anywhere, right? We might finally see him start to get somewhere with this Gangplank if he can get it to stick, but they're just trading card for card. And as great as that might be for Orb, he's not really doing much damage. Messiah is still at 17 going into turn 6, and that's dangerous for Orb. So I think this turn is going to be a pretty big swing turn one way or the other, depending on what Messiah has, because now that, both players are kind of low on cards, Messiah might not even be able to really use all of his mana this turn, depending on what's in his hand. If he just has a bunch of smaller units, maybe another deckhand, maybe Petty Officer or something like that.
So we do, yeah, as you'd mentioned, the Gangplank's down. Thermo, really the only removal spell in the deck that's going to be able to kill that one. And Meister even has this Noxian Fervor to get just a little bit more value out of him. And I think Messiah is really contemplating, if he has the Thermo, can I throw this down onto the Gangplank right here? Is that a winning line? And I mean, terrible. He's still going to take a lot of damage for the Troubles. It was whatever was top decked.
Yep, there's
and it is the Thermo Beam.
And this will get Fervor onto Ezreal, I imagine. Yep.
Yeah, I think getting the Ezreal out of here is pretty important. You don't get as much damage on the face in the short term, but because now the way is clear for your Zap Sprayfin, I do think that works out pretty well for you. So going to push 5 damage this turn. Not as low as you would want, but you do have him very critically into the range of the triple decimates that you're going to get out of this Captain Pharaon on your turn 8.
Yeah, so again, everything feeling good for Orb. Now actually up on the card advantage as well after that trade of the Thermo and the Fervor. So we'll see if Messiah is able to top deck something, anything here, which crucially now.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Did he just. Wow. Another.
Yeah, Gangplank number 2.
And
there's only 2 Thermo Beam in Messiah's deck.
And going into turn 8 with the attack token with a Farron in hand. This is really good for Orb. Messiah, like we were just talking about turn 8 with Riptide. The thing is, Orb is looking to possibly close this out with the attack token on turn 8. And this is
this looks like it's going to be a black market merchant setup.
Wow.
Maybe some jagged butchers.
That feels bad.
Yeah, that's definitely not what you want to be doing with stuff like that. I do think this means he doesn't have a Riptide Rex, though. Or maybe decided that the Riptide, can't wait until next turn. But I think if that were the case, he would have waited to see what Orb is going to do first. So, if Butcher is the only thing that you got out of this Mystic Shot turn, that is really, really bad.
That's game over. That is not a winning play at all. Like, I don't think Mystic Shot, I don't think I've ever seen get played for a plunder effect and like actually win a game. Like, that's never a decision anybody actually wants to make.
I mean,
unless
I've
it's a
seen it
Riptide.
used for Riptide. Yeah, like I've seen it used for Riptide and workout, or like big explosive turns with multiple black market merchants and a pilfered goods, but double jagged butcher, that's not it. And now, as you had mentioned, it's turn 8 with the Captain Farron attack. Boom. Even if your last 2 cards are an Activator and Riptide Rex, the chances of killing both Overwhelm units are extremely low. You're going to eat too much damage, and I don't think you're going to be able to kill OrbMeister before he has the opportunity to play all 4 Decimates in his hand, as he did pick another one up off the top.
Wow. Okay, yeah. It's almost like the old Captain Farron, right? It's the same thing. It's this has got to be game. Yeah, sure, you have another blocker with the Dreadway deckhand, but you have 2 Overwhelm units. Those are going to push plenty of damage. You will be able to open... Oh, not only that, yeah, you can pull the keg and do even more Overwhelm damage. Wait, 8, 5, 6, 7... Oh, he's 1 off of lethal, I think, Orb.
Oh, no, 1 off of lethal.
Yeah, I know, right? Such a big problem, but yeah, we'll just be able to open with a Decimate on the next turn. We'll see what the last card is by Messiah. It's another Mystic Shot. Wow.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a weak hand there. Not able to maintain cards super well. Just fall into this Pirate aggro, and that's kind of to be expected for an Ezreal deck. We generally see those fall off because they don't handle aggro super well. And a lot of late Jagged Butchers, a really late Dreadway deckhand. Messiah just not really drawing the cards going into the later stages of the game that he needed to have any sort of a chance. And now we are going to get to see this kegged up Decimate. Or he's even going to kill him with the Make It Rain, it seems.
Wow. Yep, well, gold card's not going to do much. And Orb looking to tie this up 1-1 here, which means with his deck lists, God, I really hope Zed Lee Sin wasn't banned. I mean, so there's actually Zombie Ash is the other deck.
Yeah, which I wouldn't mind seeing either, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think it's having kind of its glory days, so to speak, right now. A lot of people finally playing it. We've always talked about how Zombie Ash it's always been a good deck, but not a lot of people have actually piloted it or piloted it well for that matter. And it's having a resurgence. It had a huge turnout in the Invitational. There was a lot of people playing Zombie Ash in the Invitational, a lot more than I think anybody kind of expected. God damn! Oh! What is it with Lee Sin? You people in the banning of the Lee Sin. What is this? This is terrible.
It's a tale as old as time. You see Ionia, you ban Ionia. Especially now that they have 3 mana deny again in Bastion.
When you hear a tale as old as time, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Beauty.
Okay, all right, just checking.
Is there like a different thing that uses that?
I don't know. That's why I was asking. I didn't know if there was a different thing.
Oh, gotcha.
So
I mean, I also did a Beauty and the Beast musical in high school, so that one's always kind of ingrained in the back of my head.
Wow, Boulevard doing musicals. So when do we get a YouTube video of you in a musical?
Oh, absolutely never. You'll never see that.
Come on, never. Just one day.
I know they recorded them, but I think they sold DVDs of it. I never bought any because I was like, I want to forget this show as soon as possible. So hopefully none of you ever get to see any of my acting days.
Oh, actually, I'll do you one better. I was in a musical, Anything Goes, as a sailor dancing with a broom. It was good times.
Oh,
yeah, it was great.
All right, you and I can exchange pics later.
Jesus. All right, so we start with not that great.
Yeah, real rough here for OrbMeister in the double harrowing.
Yeah, not even a century or something to kind of even this hand out. So Orb really gonna have a rough time here going up against this this TF Ezreal deck again. Oh, and a Rekindler. This hand, this is not what you want to see.
Hold on, 18, 25, 30. 33 mana in Orb Meister's hand currently.
Yeah, so just
he has 3 available, so he could flash reset.
just give it like another 8 turns. We'll be able to play a card. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, overall, like not a very quick start on the side of Messiah either, though. Misses turn 1 and then gets the Butcher down on turn 2, so it doesn't look like Orb Meister's going to get blown out for having such a top-end heavy hand. And Brittle Steel, not great, but at least does give some survivability to the Rhymefang Wolf. But yeah, I agree. Doesn't have to commit that one. Messiah definitely has to, sort of be the aggressor in this matchup. If things go to the late game, Orb is very favored. And Messiah's got to be thinking about what does it look like if an Ashe comes down next turn or the turn after. How much is that going to turn off the aggression that I can put out there? And I mean, I would think that, there's a good chance that Messiah has something like an Ezreal in hand and is just thinking, what are the chances that this ever works out? Here we are going to see, okay, no Make It Rains in this matchup. Wow. That Petty Officer and that Legion Rearguard, I'm surprised I remembered his name for how long it's been since we've seen him, is going to hit the field, and that is a really big open attack. I think, yeah, Orb's got to go for the Rhymefang into a Brittle Steel play here.
Man, the one time you really wish you had Make It Rain, and, Legion, man, rip Legion Rearguard, huh? Man, I remember when that card was good. Jesus, that was in every aggro deck, and now it is absolutely just fallen off the face of the planet, but it is still one of the better one-drops, I think, to get from Petty Officer, especially if you're playing an aggressive deck. So I'm not sure how much value it'll really provide here, but hey, it's pushing 3 damage right now.
All right, if I've done my math right, OrbMeister's up to 40 mana in hand.
Well, we all know that you can't do math right, so I don't...
Whoa. 3 times 9 is 27. Plus 7 is 34. Yeah, 40 mana.
You had to write that on paper to figure that out?
No, because I already figured it out, and then you questioned me, and I had to check my work.
If you ever need to use my fingers and toes, man, I got you.
Oh, man.
So
this man just offered me his toes. You guys heard it.
I know. I was waiting for somebody to call me out on that sounding weird, but I decided to run with it anyways. It was fine.
I decided to call you out on it sounding weird. Looks like we're actually just going to preserve the life total and let the Rhymefang die.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. That's an interesting decision. I mean, maybe, I guess, just worried about that early Ezreal win condition, understanding that he's probably playing for a super, super late game with the way that his hand is looking right now. Because
he doesn't even have, he has no choice. He can't even play the game right now. He is still multiple turns off of doing, literally anything. He has this Rekindler, but even if we fast forward him to turn 7, there's no champions in the death pool.
Yeah, this is one of the worst zombie Ashe hands I have ever seen, ever, period. And 3, even the other, man, how are you going to draw another 9-cost spell on top of Harrowing? That just is terrible. All right.
Okay,
all right.
Rex, this is the perfect card for OrbMeister here. Right on time, gets, the Rekindler active, does mean that the Harrowings are going to be able to bring back, if nothing else, like a Thresh and a Rekindler to revive the Thresh. You'll get a permanent unit. Things still not looking great for OrbMeister. At least has the chance to kill the TF before that even has the threat of taking over the game. And with the TF already on board, I don't think there's a lot Messiah can do to stop this other than a Thermo Beam.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay, Thermo
man,
Beam.
and you had to figure, because Orb is not really playing much because of the way his hand is panning out, Messiah probably had an answer to this somewhere. On the bright side, we have this Glimpse that's kind of been chilling in hand since we,
give us
have
2
units.
more 9-cost spells.
Yeah. What do we got? We have another Ruination and another Harrowing in deck. Let's see if we can do it.
Yeah, let me see it, OrbMeister. Let me just get the full suite of
let's do it.
Badness out of here.
He needs a 4 of a kind in hand at least. So let's see it here in a second. He's playing poker. It's fine. He's just playing the wrong game. And you know what's funny? I'm just realizing this. Flash Freeze is a very similar picture with the hands. Okay.
Oh, to the Harrowing? Yeah.
But
seeing them lined up like that, it's a little weird.
It's kind of neat. But 2 Brittle Steel.
What does it mean?
Yeah, it's a sign. All right. This isn't terrible with the Rhymefang now. Just having the
I think it's just too awkward of a turn lineup. But yeah, it has to use another Brittle Steel just to save. Actually, just gonna fire off both of them to save some damage. It looks like gonna sit at 14. The Rekindler is gonna be really big on the following turn, and from every turn there on afterwards, we've kind of got these Harrowings online. but I don't know how well that's going to do for OrbMeister. I mean, you can start to take control of the board, but without an actual Ash, you are very far away from killing your opponent.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think I've seen recently, even with mid-range Frostbite coming back into the meta, this many Frostbites used just for the sake of saving your life total. Like that's when you know things are in a you're in dire straits. Okay, this is not looking good for you. It's not looking up. We will be able to at least save the spell mana. It looks like is what he's trying to do going into what is now turn 7, which will possibly give a good Rhymefang Wolf target, but I don't think Rhymefang is going to be sticking around too long since this is like, I don't know, the second unit that's been summoned. It's got to have something. All right, only a Static Shock. Actually surprised to not just see it straight up killed, but maybe there's another Static Shock in hand.
I mean, there's the potential of a Make It Rain as well.
Oh, yep, yeah. Which, I mean, is not going to have 2 targets.
Yeah, I don't think you're too concerned about this Rhyme thing. I guess, Messiah's contemplating, can I wait until next turn for this Make It Rain to see what it challenges first? But, I mean, if we see the Rekindler come out straight away from Orb and then Make It Rain was the answer and it just hits face and the 2 other units, could be a bit of a disaster for Messiah here, but this TF getting closer and closer to that level. If there's another answer for this Thresh and this Rhymefang, I mean, it seems like a big ask to be able to take out both of them, but you only have to take out one of them in combat, so unfortunately can't do that to the Thresh's Thermos, your only removal for it. We will see. Messiah, what is your answer here? Still 1 turn shy of the Riptide Rex, and Orb might have actually held on long enough to get himself back into this game as he does now have the Ash.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was going to say Rekindler almost has to be played this turn on a Thresh, which feels bad. But then the Ash is drawn, which is like such a bait to not want to play the Rekindler and like play the Ash and maybe rekindle the Ash.
No, you have to Rekindler.
Yeah.
You need that Thresh to start to take over the board, and it looks like Parlay going to come out onto the Rhymefang Wolf. That does mean the TF is going to die here, though. I think, does the Rekindler... Oh, looks like the Rekindler's going to attack as well. I actually like that. You do still have this Brittle Steel, so if you are worried about damage getting pushed onto it by this Jagged Butcher, you can go ahead and, freeze that one out.
I mean, yeah, I don't think... There's really no other reason to freeze anything here, I think, yet. And I will say, it's at the point where he doesn't really have a whole lot of units. I think he kind of needs to use the freeze to fight for board a little bit. We do have Ash finally in hand, which would be good to finally get down next turn, and Which I think you're right. I think Orb has actually held on long enough, even still having this this Ruination as a backup here. But Black Market Merchant, oh man, what did you steal? What did you steal?
Another Butcher. This is just another big board on the side of Messiah. I mean, he can potentially get down enough units to just probably not win the game next turn, but at least expend enough resources out of OrbMeister's hand and maybe follow up with something like a Riptide Rex that he does just get it done. Because Riptide is still a devastating card for Orb to have to deal with. He doesn't have a harrowing setup for lethal just yet.
No, and it's going to be a little while, I think, till he even gets it. We, at the current point, have 0 Ashes in the death pool. And, if nobody's seen Zombie Ash before, that's kind of sort of the win condition. So, not gonna... Basically, 2 of these cards in hand are useless for the time being. If Orb survives this turn, I imagine we'll see something like the Ruination come out. He's gonna probably want a bigger commitment from Messiah, maybe play a Riptide or something. The problem is he might just die. Because even if he Brittle Steals this, I think he has to Flash Freeze as well, because if you don't, you open yourself up to Riptide, and Riptide just ends the game.
Yeah, definitely things still looking rough for OrbMeister, but is going to be able to get this Ash down, of course. Not enough Ashes in the death pool for the Rekindler to be, lethal, especially given how many units Messiah still has. And while Orb has a chance, there is always the opportunity. I know this doesn't happen often, but the Bilgewater deck might not have Riptide Rex.
Wait, what? Ezreal TF?
Yeah, like it might not have it.
Oh, I was like, wait, what do you mean he's not playing Riptide?
Oh, no, definitely plays Riptide. I just mean it's turn 8. That doesn't mean that Riptide's right there. Like he could be, a couple blocks away still saying, hey guys, I'm just around the corner. If he does have one though, I would imagine he probably plays it here once this Ash comes down.
I imagine Riptide's a cool guy to party with. I feel like he'd be a fun time. He's got all those cannons and stuff.
I don't know, man. I feel like he's the kind of guy who he dances and then he swings his head a little bit too wildly and someone ends up in the hospital.
He's the guy, he can't control his own strength. He's that guy.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, all the cannon barrages are gonna come down here. They importantly missed. Oh wait. No, never mind. They just didn't finish the animation. No, never mind. Never lucky. Never lucky.
It's actually really bad for OrbMeister that they missed the Rekindler as well. It does mean he'll be getting one less Ash off of this harrowing. Yeah. And I mean, he's got the Ruination, but he'd have to fire that off as the first thing on the turn, and Messiah then has all the time in the world to rebuild a board. And yeah, you could see Orb not happy that this Rekindler was able to survive the Riptide Rex.
I love when players do this. Like, there's so many times where they hover pictures and you know exactly like what they're trying to verbalize through showing us a picture. It's so great. It's like he's just staring at it. I hate my life. I hate my life. I hate my life. It's not cool. We only get one Ash here with this. This feels so bad, and I think you can't even level up a Thresh like using this and having everything die, attacking with it last. Like, it's not gonna work. So I don't.
Yeah, I think you can because you have the two challengers. You know, Thresh does count your opponent's units as well.
Oh, that's right. Was there two Rhyme Fangs?
But it's still but it still won't pull your it won't pull a Yash because it's already committed the attack it would normally pull on start of combat. So it does make that your Threshes for the next harrowing better, but I don't think we're really at a point where that's what we're playing for.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate is you have to play the you don't have anything else to do.
You have no other play.
There's literally nothing to do. This hand, man, just from Orb, honestly impressed to have seen him make it this far regardless. Just, you know, based on that first hand, you know, having 3 9-cost cards by like turn 4 is not fun. So for him to make it to turn 9 now and actually give himself some sort of shot to win this game is definitely a feat. But unfortunately, that Rekindler not getting killed there by the Riptide actually makes this harrowing a lot worse, like you said, Boulevard. And I think for that reason, this actually is not going to help him get back in the game, regardless of how good of an attack this might be.
And for that reason, I'm out.
Oh, love the reference.
Are we going to see Messiah kill this Rekindler here? Or is he going to Mystic Shot face so he can respond with a Riptide Rex? It looks like it will be the Mystic Shot to potentially respond with the Riptide.
Which could just end the game.
This could end the game. I don't think Messiah had to do this. I think that you could have waited until, or maybe even just setting up for a post-combat Riptide. I think that makes a little bit more sense to me personally, because you're not dying to this ever. There's so many brittle steals have already been used out of OrbMeister. I think all 3 copies actually. So you know that he's never going to be able to stop enough units. But we actually are just going to see the Riptide straight away. I'm pretty sure this might not be game because he has the Harsh Winds.
Well, because I was gonna say on the open attack, but both Threshes should be able to challenge most of the units for an open attack, and then the Harsh Winds would be on both Riptides next turn. So
you could kill everything that isn't named Riptide Rex, and then if Messiah goes for an open attack, you have the Harsh Winds and OrbMeister. I mean, he's not out of this one yet. At 3 HP, it is looking extremely rough, but there is a universe where he comes back into this.
Yeah, and
it looks like I think that is going to level the Thresh. Be healthy enough to actually kill the Riptide.
So even better. So you actually get rid of one of the Riptides. So I agree with you with Messiah. Like you could have let almost all those units attack you, and being at 17, you wouldn't have died. And then you could have waited because of that, they would have only had 1 unit left on the board, Orb, and then Riptide would have just been game. So I'm a little surprised to have seen this transpire like this. And the last thing you want to do is give an Ash zombie deck a chance to have even one more harrowing, because that's very, very dangerous.
And that means that, I mean, things look really awkward for Messiah on the following turn. If you go for the open attack, the Harsh Winds doesn't do it. If you develop a unit first, Harsh Winds stuns out Rex and that other unit. You can even top decks the Kindly Tavern Keeper or has the Thresh available. I think there's a very real chance that OrbMeister has found his way back into this game.
Wow, if he does, just because of that timing of the Riptide, that's going to be a huge misplay on the side of Messiah. Like there's still a fair chance that Messiah wins this, but I don't know, man. Another harrowing, I think, gets enough Ash.
That's another Mystic Shot burned away. That means that the chances of Messiah burning this one out are that much lower. It's going to have to be unit damage. And these two coming in, I think the Harsh Winds into the Kindly Tavern Keeper, into the harrowing. I don't even know if he has to play the Tavern Keeper,
I don't think you have to. If you just saw that get burned, that Mystic Shot, you're really only worried about... Well, I mean, technically there could be like 2 warning shot to make it rain, I guess.
The question is, does
And a static shock.
the harrowing kill with 5 units?
I think so, because there's going to be at least 3 ash.
I think you would get 3 ashes, a rekindler, and a thresh.
Okay, well now you have to play the Kindly Tavern Keeper because you're only at 1. So
Yeah.
and now you're still at risk to dying to, like, you know, double warning shot and static shock, make it rain. Like there's a lot of burn left in there.
If Messiah has the warning shot and was just like, there's no burst speed healing in OrbMeister's deck, I can go ahead and wait until after.
That's gonna feel bad.
But I mean, at the same time, he was also sort of playing around. You know, if you go warning shot, mystic shot, and then he has a vile feast, and that's all the damage that you had, you know, you do feel like you wasted the mystic shot. So it looks like Messiah just kind of ordering that one improperly for the out that OrbMeister did end up having.
If he has a warning shot.
If he has a warning shot. But I mean, I don't think Messiah can stop this harrowing from just killing him. I don't know. I haven't been able to properly math out how many ashes are popping out. I think it's 3, and I think that's enough. I think OrbMeister has stolen this game back,
which is absolutely insane. And it's literally, so Messiah literally would have won playing the Riptide post combat 100%. And okay, wow, even had the TF to potentially do red card damage there. So lots of different ways that Messiah could have burned him down. So this Kindly Tavern Keeper actually came in clutch as well. So all the
I think the TF is the lethal that he was going for.
And so for all the crappy first draws that Orb has, now he's actually drawing what he needs. So his deck kind of paying him back for making it this late, even with another Kindly Tavern Keeper just in case. And no, only 2. But there is Thresh.
3 Threshes, yeah. So you attack with 2 ashes and 2 Threshes. And that's going to pull 4 ashes out of your deck. 2 more ashes out of your deck because we've only seen the 1. And that is just going to be lethal from OrbMeister. Messiah would have to kill him this turn. And with, I believe, 2 Mystic Shots already used and 1 burned away by the salvage, I don't think Messiah can do it unless he has 3 Ezreal in hand.
There could also be another Riptide, and if it hits decent, he could avoid lethal, maybe. But I mean, that's a pretty crappy play. He's got a lot of draw, though. Messiah has a lot of cards, so that's definitely scary on the side of Orb. So I got to agree with the Sweaty Ezreal emote. So it's definitely coming down to the last couple of plays here. This is insane if we'll be able to pull this off.
All right, Messiah. It looks like he doesn't have it. I mean, you have to let the harrowing resolve, and then, like I said, the only real answer is just if you play this Ezreal. Actually, even that wouldn't do it, because if you play Ezreal, if OrbMeister expects the double Ezreal's Mystic Shot, can overwrite the current Kindly Tavern Keeper with his other Kindly Tavern Keeper.
Yeah, and lots of options for Orb suddenly. So we went from having 0 options, turns 1 through 6, to having plenty of options now on what looks to be possibly the last turn of the game.
Yeah, I don't even think Riptide could do it. I think that the Threshes pulling 2 units and then the Ashes that come out, you know, doing enough. I don't think Riptide can actually kill enough of this board for it to matter.
Yeah, actually, because now that I'm forgetting Thresh is like a beast because he's got 7 health.
He's beefy. He's a meatball.
So, I mean, most of those Threshes will probably suck up most of the shots. You'd have to like
line up 7 shots onto 1 unit.
Yeah, basically.
And I think that Orb has managed to find his way back into this. It's a 0 attack, 3 health unit that does nothing against the Ashes. And that means the Threshes can now just pull the 2 units that will not get frost, or no, all these units are going to get frostbitten because 2 more Ashes are coming out.
That's probably like the worst 1-drop that Messiah could have gotten, being 0 attack. It basically is frostbitten as well. That's so bad.
I mean, he had the box anyway to kill whatever came out, as well as the Petty Officer, but didn't even have to use it. And OrbMeister, somehow, with one of the brickiest hands we've ever seen, does come back into this game and is going to take this one 2-1 over Messiah.
What a ridiculous play by Orb, and I gotta go back to that play with the Riptide, man. If that Riptide was played post-combat, I think Orb was also tapped out that turn of mana. I think Messiah 100%, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, had the game playing a post-combat Riptide, but instead gonna lose to the Ashe harrowing. Didn't have any Ashe early game, didn't have really anything early game, but ends the game with 2 Ashe on the board. Wow.
What an insane end to the day here, SJW. That was an intense one.
That was absolutely insane. Well, I think so. Actually, you mentioned end of the day. I think we actually might have one more match.
I unfortunately do not have time for another match.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I feel so bad. All right, so Orb Meister taking it there, and if you didn't see it, or obviously you heard us talking about it in game, that Riptide, if played after the open attack, because Messiah would have lived through that open attack, could have then played the Riptide for just straight lethal with the Riptide cannon barrages, just hitting enough Nexus shots. So really unfortunate for Messiah there that OrbMeister was able to take that away, but OrbMeister stuck through it, and much to his credit, won the game. So good on Orb there. But as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope it just works for you. Peace out.